though it's what we trap for. Some man they wanna chat shit till I knock them ain't like I'm Jack Shaw. Rolls hat, rolls stack, my flow sharp like a hacksaw. Getting off.
Right, welcome to episode 11 / Patreon exclusive episode 1 of the Tanked Up podcast. If you're wondering why me and Joe wearing the same clothes as the Old Man podcast, it's because we filmed this straight after. We're joined by the voice of Cagewarriors again, Hal Chaplin, the official, unofficial co-host of the Tanked Up podcast. And today we're breaking down the Cagewarriors 142 card that's taking place Saturday in Ebervale. So, yeah. Now we keep harping on about it, but back in the Valleys, or back in Wales, is a big deal. First time in nearly 3 years. First time Cagewarriors as a big card has come to the Valleys. That's not an academy show, so obviously we're going to have the full works over there Saturday. We're going to have the rig and the ramp, the cameras, the behind the scenes stuff. Me and Joe are going to be there doing, well, I won't be doing filming. Joe will be doing the filming. I'll be there mixing about.
His piece to camera.
Yeah, and H will be there, leading the show like he does. So we're going to run through, because this is a Welsh-based podcast, we're going to run through mainly the Welsh fighters and the title fight in the main event. Start card, quick mention, obviously there's an amateur card as well at 2:30. Got a lot of Welsh guys on the amateur card, people like Kane Darcy, Morgan Lemon, well not Lennon, but we call him Lemon, so Morgan Lemon, as he's better known. Unfortunately, Yohan is off the card, so... But yeah, big amateur card. Not a big amateur card, but a good talent base. I think it's 5 or 6 amateur fights.
Yeah.
All very good fighters. No kind of like debutants or nothing like that. And then obviously a very good card as well.
When you think about how well like the academy shows themselves do, though, isn't it? And the fact that a lot of the boys which you go to see on the academy shows are going to be here on the amateurs anyway, and it's like in the daytime, and then you've got the actual Cagewarriors card. Like, there's no reason not to go, is there? It's going to be great night for like Ebervale.
There's zero reason not to go. Like, Tankler tested this. Growing up as kids, if you told us you can go to Ebervale and watch a big Cagewarriors card, we'd have been there like, well, we'd been there in a flash, wouldn't we?
Yeah, and we should. It may be obvious to somebody, but we should. I mean, obviously, other than the fact that Graham's my manager and the boys are fighting, and my old man does run the amateur cards, we have no, like, us three have no affiliation to Cagewarriors anymore. Obviously, it works for him. Yeah. But me and Joe, like, it's not like we're not getting paid here to help publicise the show or anything. It's just, they're good cards. And a lot of my teammates are fighting on there. And like H said, like, me and H grew up, Cagewarriors Academy was still paint pit at the time, and we would put the cage up and lay the seats out, and we couldn't wait. But that was a full day. Like, me and him would be in Newport for 8 o'clock. We get on 1 o'clock in the morning. So if you said to us, you can pop the Ebervale at 2 o'clock and watch a couple of hours of fighting. And there's nothing better than live sport. Even live rugby, live football. I love going and watch the local teams on the weekend. So to be able to go and watch fights live, there's nothing I love more. I love watching it on the TV. Watch it live in person is a different atmosphere altogether.
Like, as much as I love doing what I do, I still get a little bit jealous of the fans who get to go there and have an absolutely great crowd.
And just enjoy it, yeah.
Not jealous enough for Graham to replace me if you're listening to this. But I do, yeah.
There's nothing... It's totally different being there. It makes a hell of a difference. Like, you can hear the punches, you can see the kicks. It just brings a totally different atmosphere.
You have a lot more respect for the fighters, I think, when you're there.
Yeah.
Especially when you're up close, because when you see it on TV, it doesn't look a lot. People get knocked, they think, oh, well, he's out. You see someone get knocked out in person, or take a leg kick or a shin to the head or an elbow to the head in person, you think, ooh. You can almost not picture yourself, maybe you can feel it, and you think, that looks a lot worse than it does on TV. So get over there and enjoy some live fights.
Yeah, you are close enough to put yourself in their shoes almost, aren't you? It's a weird thing, but, well, I wouldn't want to, but... Yeah, so which fights do you want to go into first?
First off, I think, we haven't got the official card order, we should say, but I think we're going to start with Scott Pedersen and Sheriff LaRossi.
That was H's MC voice. I don't know if anyone noticed.
Yeah, just
bringing it into play.
He rolled the R on the away fighter's name. He's got his notes.
Sheriff.
He's very prepared. Yeah, Scotty. So Scotty's last fight, I believe, was the draw.
Contest.
Sorry, it was a draw in the end because he got illegally kneed, I think it was.
Yeah.
And cut a long story short, if the fight is stopped due to an unintentional foul after a certain stage in the fight, it goes to the scorecards. The guy had 2 points taken off him, so I think the judges somehow scored the first 2 rounds to the boy. I scored the second round to Scott, 1 round to the boy. So I thought Scott was going to get a win on the judges, but it ended up being a draw, whatever. Obviously couldn't get a rematch sorted. And Scott there's no way to dance around it. Scott needs a win, yeah. Scott's record is 1-3-1, which is criminal because he's so much better than a 1-3-1 record. Like, I always spar with Scotty every day in the gym. His striking is unbelievable. His wrestling and ground game is solid and ever improving. It's just every fight he's had has been a 50-50 fight. You know, he picked up 1 submission loss. But like his first fight with Cagewarriors, he took on a guy from Pat McAllister's gym, who's a British level, Irish level. Matthew Elliott. So he's an elite level wrestler, and give him all the way to go. Again, a very close fight. He then won his second fight. He picked up a loss then on Bellator Dublin, which again, really close fight on a different day. Could have gone his way. So he needs a win here, Scotty. Don't know too much about his opponent. I think he's 1-1. I believe he's a European guy.
He's 1-1 with 1 rear naked choke. His amateur record was 3-1.
Yeah.
And 2 decisions and 1 KO there.
At amateur.
Yeah, he's from the Netherlands, so you'd imagine he's probably going to bring that kind of Dutch
kickboxing style, yeah. And I mean, Scotty's got hell of an amateur pedigree himself. I think he was 16-7 or something, or 18-7, something like that. He's had more fights than me, Scott. So that shows you how experienced he is. That's not including his boxing and his K1 experience as well. Like you said, he's coming from Holland. You'd expect him to be a kickboxer, but they're not to say he can't grapple or you know. But I think that style will probably suit Scotty, to be honest, because Scotty's a very good striker himself. When he keeps it neat and tidy and uses his hands well, he's good, and he hits hard as well. So hopefully it's the right style of fight. Yeah, where he can get back in the win column and also help build. Not he's not confident, but you know, it's like you pick up a couple of losses or in a draw, your kind of backs against the wall a little bit, and you may have to fight a little bit reserved, do what you do together, win. But hopefully this is a style of fight. I'm sure it gets him back in the mix.
I'm sure he won't mind me saying, but he said to me himself in the gym, he knows what he can do. He just hasn't been able to let it translate into the actual fight yet.
There's just something just hasn't quite clicked yet. When he picked up his win on Cagewarriors that was a standing rear naked. Yeah. You know, he looked fucking awesome. Again, he went up a weight. The guy was way bigger than him, and he looked awesome. And we're kind of like trying to say to him, that's how you got to fight, you know, because sometimes with Scotty, because he's so technically good on the feet, he lulls into this style a little bit where he's happy to exchange and score points, happy to let them initiate the takedown. Whereas that fight you watch, he came out from the bat. The guy was a good kickboxer, so he had to get in his face, put the pressure on him, let his hands go, hurt him, and took his back and got a submission. So I say to Scotty in the gym and the entire camp, I say, you're best when you're putting pressure on. When you were dictating the pace and where the fight's going. I was like, you can strike on the back foot, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you should do that, because you can end up falling behind on points. So hopefully this is the one that gets our boy back. Because I keep saying it's fucking criminal that he's 1-3. Yeah. Because he's so good. Like he's got all the skills and the tools to be able to compete for the Cagewarriors title and move on to the UFC. It's just we need a little bit of rub of the green, and we need that performance where it just clicks, and it's like I want to be this Saturday watching, think, right, that's the Scotty I'm sparring with every day. Yeah. That's not the Scotty we've seen in the last 2 fights. That's what we're dealing with every day in the gym.
Do you think it's like in the gym he's found himself in like it's obviously uncomfortable, but comfortable as far as like he's confident enough to be himself and do what he knows he can do, whereas it's like that experience of being in the ring is maybe like he's not confident of like the moment necessarily, not necessarily the fight itself, just like there's a lot
I think it's a build up of pressure as well. Like obviously he had that good win. He picked up a loss then to a good strong grappler. And you know, when you lose your next fight then, after that he lost a close in, so like he's 1-3, and then the 4th fight was the draw. It's like, it's pressure then. You've lost 2. You're going into this fight to fight for a draw. You know you need to win. So you know you've got to go for it a little bit. But they're saying, if you go for it too much, am I going to end up on my back and lose another decision? Because his fights, like, because it's mad, because he can wrestle, Scott. He's a I'm not just saying it for the camera. When you spar him in the gym, he's a nightmare. When you get him down, he's a nightmare to keep down. he's so good with his anti-wrestling and his switches and stuff. So then he's kind of probably thinking, if I push too much, am I going to end up pinned like the last 2 fights? So he just, in my opinion, just needs to go out there, inflict his game plan like he did at amateur, and dictate. Forget about his record. Forget about the last 3 fights. Just go out there and fight. Because I guarantee you, even if he does pick up a loss, he'll have a lot more pride in coming from they haven't gone for it than having kind of just, fuck, I've lost another decision. Do you know what I mean?
What if?
Yeah.
What I could have
What
done,
if I had
like,
gone earlier?
He's got to be in a position where it's easy to overthink as well. So I think you've got to tone that down a bit.
That's it. That's the downfall of a lot of fighters is overthinking, because it's such a fucking wild sport. Anything can happen. You can inflict all this damage, but you can also receive all this damage, or one punch, or one takedown, or one transition can completely change the direction of the fight. You know, like you said, it is a lot of pressure, and if you let that pressure get you, you're very reserved. Do you know what I mean? You fight. I've been there myself. You have fights where you're thinking, you know, even as an amateur, I didn't throw hardly any punches on the feet as an amateur, but in the gym, I was out boxing and out kickboxing some of the pros, and I've got more stand-up fighting experience than a lot of the boys in the gym, and I'm beating them on the feet, and I'm going in the cage, and I'm thinking, why am I shooting straight for the takedown?
And that's from someone who boxes now.
And that's from someone who boxes an amateur, yeah. So, and the longer that went on for, the more it was like, fucking hell, still haven't done it. And then something just clicked, the one fight, and it was like, right, not made of glass. I've took a couple of punches with little gloves. My hands are working when I'm using them. So that's what Scotty needs. He needs a little bit of, just needs whatever it is, whatever's missing, to kind of just like click into place.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed that's what happens.
Fingers
Saturday
crossed,
night,
yeah. You know,
innit?
and again, testament to him. He's not in against no journeyman.
No, he's not.
Like he said, 3-1 as an amateur, or 2-1, no, 3-1 as an amateur. That again, he could have a bigger amateur record than that we're not seeing.
Yeah, sometimes
you can't always rely on tap. I mean, same with your 1-on-1 as a pro. It's a 50-50 fight again, which shows you that Scotty is a true fight. He could go to smaller shows across the country and fight journeyman and build his record nicely, but that's not what he's about.
No, I watched this guy's last amateur fight, the La Rossi, and he was billed as an amateur fight. He was wearing 4-ounce gloves, so again, where that was like the old B-class pro rules.
It probably was an amateur fight, but they have it like...
It's different on
the problem we got is because there's no universal governing body at the minute for... There kind of is. IMAF is trying to do that, but they're not a governing body yet. So there's no... You know, you go to some shows and like you said, like the amateurs... You go in America... You know, in America, the amateurs is basically pro, but 3-minute rounds. You can elbow... you can't elbow, but you can knee to the head. It's 4-ounce gloves, so... You know, it probably was an amateur, but at the same time, it's not an amateur because you're fucking fighting in 4-ounce gloves. So, yeah, but fingers crossed for our boy Scotty on that one.
Definitely. What we got next?
Right, moving on. Do you want to do the Steph Evans fight?
Let's do our wine first. Let's do our wine.
So, yeah, we got Owain Williams and Sheen McCormack. I'll confirm that later. Close to the date. Yeah, he's a Fight Academy Island guy, so coming out of a good gym. Obviously, you know, much like Owain, he's got good sparring partners, you know.
Yeah, really good gym. Fight Academy Island. Pat McAllister, who I really like and really rate as a coach.
Pat and Liam, both great guys.
What's the other guy's name?
Liam Shannon.
Liam, that's right.
Yeah.
You know, really high level. They got guys, like you said, Matthew Elliott, Paul Hughes, Reece McKee does a lot of training there. They've got guys all through the Cagewarriors roster. I mean, you only got to look on their Instagram. You see videos. They're like us. They're 50 guys on the mat sometimes. I see like this Sunday morning and they got 30 pros and amateurs there sparring. So they're Northern Ireland, aren't they?
Yeah, bit in
Yeah,
Belfast.
because I'm gonna say, I would say,
Belfast.
I know a lot of people like harp on about SBG being the biggest gym in Ireland, but obviously these are Northern Ireland, so it doesn't really matter. But in terms of talent, I think anyone. You would be kind of a fool if you're in that area to not go there and train.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Is this guy the guy who's fought Chris Duncan, or is this someone else?
No.
I don't believe he's fought Chris Duncan.
Right.
No, he hasn't.
So he's
Looking
1-1. Do you say that's his record?
Yeah,
1-1?
he's 1-1.
And 3-1 as an amateur. What's his style, H? Break it down for me.
So his last win was a wrestle-heavy decision, and it was a really dominant display. So obviously at that gym you got people like Matthew Elliott, so it's no surprise, I suppose, that he's a decent wrestler.
And don't quote me, but I'm sure Pat has got a wrestling background as well.
Maybe.
I might have a. I'm
Yeah,
fairly confident that he wrestled for Ireland or Northern Ireland.
When you watch how the boys fight, it wouldn't be
surprise
a surprise,
you,
would
no.
it really?
Yeah, and
Obviously, he's going to be well-rounded everywhere. But,
it's going to be a clash. If like you say, if he is wrestling, it'll be a clash of styles because Owain is, your typical. He's a fuck. How do I put it? He's one of those guys. He reminds you of like you see some of the heavyweights in the UFC. They just come on a bite down and exchange.
Yeah.
That's Owain. Don't be wrong. He does it with technicality. He's not just a hands at the hips brawler. He can strike and he got a good boxing background. Owain. Can grapple as well. He's purple belt jiu-jitsu, but at the same time, if you ask him, would you prefer this guy to come and wrestle, or would you prefer this guy to come and trade? He's gonna want the guy to come and trade.
How long has he been training with you then?
So Owain joined us back when. So basically, what happened was back before COVID. So it would have been like February 2020, something like that. I was training to fight on London, and Brett had left the Chris Reese Academy. Won't get into why. So Brett had come up to spar. Brett messaged my old man, would I be alright to come up and do a couple of sessions? And he said, we'd love to have you up because Tank is preparing. It'd be great if you would come and give him some rounds and show him a bit. So Brett came up and sparred, and basically he just opened the floodgates because then, like all the Swans, they look up to Brett. They look up to Brett. How a lot of the youngsters from the Valleys look up to me in our gym. So he came, so straight away Scott, he was like, well, can I come up as well? And again, I've sparred with Scotty before in the past, and I really know and get on with Scotty. So Scotty came up, Owain came up, Steph came up, and at the time it just started off as coming up for a bit of sparring, and cut a long story short, Brett was having an hour and whether to go to Vegas to train full time, and his brother said, well, I think you need to consider joining Shaw because you're happiest I've seen you in a long time with training. You seem like you're really enjoying it. They seem like they want you up there. You need to speak to Shaky. So he spoke to my old man and said, look, I know you're friendly with Chris and that, but would you have me? Would I be allowed to join the gym? Obviously, my old man said yeah, because having someone like Brett in the gym, you'd be a fool to say no. And I think because of how much I don't think Brett. Have I pulled that out there? I don't think Brett tried to influence him, but I think they kind of looked at Brett and thought, if he's coming up here for better training, obviously we want to be where he is because obviously Brett was at the UFC. Even now, Brett's top end in the world, isn't he? And they kind of thought, well, we want to follow suit. And I remember within a week, we'd gone from Brett joining to Owain, Steph, Scotty, Rowan had joined a little bit before Brett. Even they all came and joined. So Owain's been up with us probably 2.5 years now. Just tough as fuck, man. Just proper. He reminds me I call him the farmer because I don't know why. I don't even think he works on a farm, but he's a proper he don't say a lot, quiet guy, funny, not shy, just doesn't say a lot, just turns up, gets his work done, graphs, and will spar or fight anyone. I think you could have offered him fucking Christian Duncan probably, and he said, yeah, I'll have a go. So. It goal makes it a great fight. Like I said, he can't wrestle and he can't grapple, but I know he's going to want to come and exchange. His last fight was against Mitch Good on the amateur card. He lost that one by submission, just purely because I think Mitch started a little bit too fast for him. I think he wanted, Owen had been out the cage 2 years, wanted to kind of it's like try and ease your way back in and get a feel thing, whereas Mitch had been active, come out, got hold of him fast. And
Mitch is a good fighter. There's no
Mitch is very good, no shame at all. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I obviously rooting for Owain, but there's guys from Pat's gym. If he wasn't fighting one of our boys, I'd be rooting for him purely because of where he's from. So it's got all the makings of a great fight, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Let's go to who we got next. Steph,
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll let you say the name because
go on, H. Give us the intro.
You have got that voice.
Jasmine Favero.
This is actually a very big fight that's probably going to fly under the radar a little bit because they're both debuting at pro.
Yeah, both debutants, yeah.
And you don't see many female fights on Cagewarriors or in Europe as a whole, especially at lightweight, because there's not many there in that division.
I've seen a struggle for the talent because the talent pool seems to be shallower in Europe with female for whatever reason.
Of course, yeah.
I know you got a few coming.
What's their records, H, at amateur?
We got Steph is 7-2 at amateur, and Jasmine is 5-1 at amateur.
So Steph, I'll speak on Steph a little bit, obviously, because she's from the gym. I'll let H cover the details on her opponent. Steph, same as Owain and I've been with us about 2.5 years. She had 2 really good wins. She had a big win in December, I believe, and then did she fight this year? I think she fought in March as well. Or was it October and December last year?
It's just December last year. October and December.
So, right, so she hasn't fought this year yet. She wanted to fight in the IMAF, I believe. That's why she didn't fight on the last Academy show, but then they ended up changing the date. And I think she kind of had a chat with my old man, and they were like, I think we're better off. Because she, to be honest, her style is more suited for pro. Because she's one of them, Steph. She gets better as the fight goes. So obviously 5-minute rounds is going to suit her better. And again, her game has come on in leaps and bounds. She can wrestle now, whereas before she could always grapple, but she couldn't really wrestle. She can wrestle. Her striking's constantly getting better. And she's powerful for the weight. And I don't mean this in a sexist way, but there's not many women that kind of carry that knockout power. You know, like you can probably count on one hand. Whereas Steph, you watch her last fight, I think she had the girl belly down from the back. Yeah. And she hit her with 3 fucking bombs. And it was literally only 3 shots, and the ref was like, whoa, that's enough, you know. She although she's not she didn't come up striking, she's got that power. And little bit of backstory. Obviously, Steph fought in the IMAF, and this Steph has only lost 2 fights, I believe. Both were in the IMAF.
Yeah, they were.
And one was against this girl, but she was it was quite early in her career. Like she said, she was pretty much a grappler, then jumping at MMA, and not it was a fluke. You can't call it a fluke because the girl obviously meant to throw her an armbar, but she kind of threw her early on and landed in the arm. So, give us a bit of background on her opponent, H.
Yeah, well, obviously it's her professional debut as well. We've gone over the fact that they fought before. She's from Italy. She is an IMAF vet. I believe she's a former European champion.
Yeah, I speak to Steph about this yesterday. I think she had a silver in the Worlds.
Yeah.
That and she won the Euros. But again, her record's only 5-1.
Yeah.
So it shows that it's crazy because she's obviously on paper she's the more experienced fighter, having won an IMAF silver at the Worlds and an IMAF gold. But Steph has had more fights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Steph's like...
So she hasn't... Jasmine, hasn't fought since 2019. So obviously in Italy they had different rules over the last couple of years to us. So that's quite a long period.
It's a long time.
That's a good point.
Especially...
to be moving into the pro
you know, between pro fights or amateur fights, you're kind of taking on the chin a little bit, like you said, with COVID and activity, whatever. But that is a long time, especially when you think the world's kind of been up and running for like the last 12, 18 months. It makes you wonder...
And it was a loss, the last one.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, coming off a loss, is it because of the loss? Did she take a bit of time away, think I don't want to fight no more, and now he's kind of going back in? Does she... Or is it strictly because of COVID?
Yeah.
But, you know, I think it is a big thing to move into the pros after having 3 years off. But at the same time, when opportunity calls, you got to kind of go for it. You know, perhaps she's been trying to fight and can't get a fight.
Yeah.
And Cagewarriors are almost like, well, look, we got a fight, but it's a pro fight. So
did Steph come to it late then? Because she's 29, is she?
Yeah, she...
28, 29?
29, I think, Steph. Is she...
1993 on you saying, so yeah, somewhere
around there. 27, yeah, 29. Yeah. So yeah, she come into it... She did come into it late. She started off grappling at Nails in Port Talbot, because she's a Port Talbot girl. Started off with the BJJ. I think within like 6 weeks she'd entered and won a medal at her first comp. So she's a natural athlete, mind Steph. She's an ex-pro rugby player. She played for the Ospreys. I don't quote me. I think she maybe even played for Wales females. So really? She's a good athlete anyway. In terms of, it's not like she's never done sports before and got in. You know, she's obviously to play it. Even though it's I know women's rugby is not as big as men's rugby, but to play for the Ospreys, I can't imagine it's an easy process.
No,
can't imagine you just fucking waltz up and sign up to play for the Ospreys. So she didn't really strike, I don't think, till she came to our gym. She's done a lot of work with him. She's got a boxing coach down her way now. But yes, but in my opinion, it's not always a bad thing starting late, especially for the female fighters, because, you know, like I said, in this country, there's not as big a talent pool for females as there is for males. So they kind of got to travel to get their fights, which straight back in.
Happy days. We're back.
What was you saying, NH?
I was saying that it looks like Jasmine had to fight for a space on the Italian IMF
Right.
team.
So what he's basically saying is, despite being 5-1 on Tapology, it looks like she've had a couple more fights in her.
Yeah.
So what we said about the experience thing probably doesn't matter. But like you said, the layoff is a fact. It's a good fight, to be honest, an eye-level fight.
Yeah.
It's a fight that could be for an IMAF title. Had it happened 2 years
It's
ago.
one that a lot of people be sleeping on, I think.
Yeah. And it's a good opportunity for both girls, because especially Steph, being Welsh, they're obviously going to want to come to Wales more, I think, Cagewarriors. I think that's the whole point of invention here for this show. If she does have a stellar performance, they may build a division around her. They may kind of like market her to be one of the front runners for the Welsh shows. So it's a good opportunity for it. The ball's in her court almost. It's like, here it is. You know, you either taking a run of it or see what happens.
There's not like many women in Cagewarriors either, is there?
No.
That's potential to be a star. And I think as well, it's kind of like, you know, you're kind of like on a fast track to UFC, really. Being a female, get a load of wins at pro, aren't you? Because even the division in the UFC isn't exactly stacked, is it?
No, and I mean, look at it. There's a lot of, like, especially for women fighters now, you've got the PFL, which got a lightweight and a featherweight division. Bellator's featherweight division at female is stacked. That could be an option for either of them if they want to drop. I know Steph will eventually want to drop to featherweight. I don't know what the crack is with the other girl. And again, UFC, they haven't got much of a featherweight division, but Amanda's a champion. They got to keep talent coming through, I suppose. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a good opportunity for the pair of them.
Rightio.
Next one, H. Who have we got? Is Oban next?
Yes.
We haven't missed no one else now, have we?
I don't think so. Let me look through my...
Depends which way you're doing it. Josh, like, obviously Josh is fighting.
Let's do... Oh, fucking hell, yeah. Let's do Oban, then we'll get into horse.
Yeah.
We don't have to go... No, we don't need to go into this one too much. We talked a lot about it on the last podcast, but this is a massive fight for Wales. You got Oban fighting Matt Bonner. Oban's 5-2, fighting Matt Bonner, who's 12-7-1. So almost triple the amount of fights, give or take. Matt Bonner, former middleweight champion, got wins over Frederick, Matt Inman, James Webb, Mick Stanton, I think he's beat. His last loss was to the guy that Chris Duncan just beat for the belt, so that there's no like it's not like he's lost to a nobody. This guy was undefeated at the time, so
it was a surprise really to see his name come up. Again,
we kind of discussed it. I won't go into too much detail because we kind of discussed it last podcast, but for Oban to go from not having a fight 10 days out, you kind of assumed there was going to be a foreign guy or a European guy. But then, you know, my old man around me, he's like, oh, we got Oban a fight. It's fucking Matt Bonner. It's like, wow, that's a big fight.
That's a household name in Cagewarriors.
Yeah, everyone knows Matt. You know? Like, if you're a fan of Cagewarriors, you know who Matt Bonner is. He's been in some stellar fights. Like the Frederick fight was nuts. I mean, he got battered for 4 rounds and then pulled out the sub. Just done enough to stay in there. Every time the ref got close to stopping, done enough to stay in there. And he's looked a new man in all fairness since he's gone to Next Gen.
Yeah.
So that's a credit to Paul Rimmer and everyone there. Obviously, if you don't know who Next Gen are, that's Paddy and Molly's gym. So obviously, great level ground game. But Matt Bonner, I believe his brother is world Thai boxing or was world Thai boxing champion.
I'm sure his brother is a world Thai boxing champion. They're twins.
They're twins.
Well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously, he's gonna not saying he can strike on the level of his brother, but he knows how to strike.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
he knows how to grapple.
Hands,
It's a big fight for Oban as well. A win for either of these guys puts him in the mix for the belt.
I was just about to say it's a good win for either
guy. Yeah, because despite not having the accolades that Matt's got, Oban obviously carries a name because he markets himself well.
Yeah,
he keeps himself relevant online because he talks well. His social media presence is big, so.
He can put himself.
I can
right
see
in the
why Bonner has took the fight because he's not fighting your Reese McKee or your Burlington because he's his first fight at welterweight for a long time. You're fighting on paper. You're not fighting like a top title tier guy, but at the same time you're fighting a well-known guy with a name. But Oban is very good. He's a lot better than a 5-2.
Yeah.
Not as a 5-2 is a good record. I don't mean it like that. What I'm saying is he's been in there and beat and competed with guys before that's got double the amount of fights he's got. So the fact that I don't think the inexperience in terms of fights will be a factor. The only experience advantage Bonner has got is he's fought a lot of high level guys, championship tier guys. Maybe Oban hasn't quite fought anyone, that's been knocking on the door for a title shot just yet. But you look at his last 2 losses, Oban, Mike Figlak,
Mad as Flaminus.
and the Latvian Express, which might be the greatest nickname in European MMA, apart from the Black Country Banger. Figlak is now in a position where he's almost fighting for the title, so that loss has aged quite well in hindsight. And the same with Flamus.
Yeah, Flaminus, yeah.
Flamus.
That's what you do when you cough.
Yeah. The Latvian Express, I'm just going to call him from now on. He had a very good win last weekend or the weekend before, didn't he?
Yeah,
so
really good.
He's on the verge now of looking, moving into that chance to fight. Like, Cagewarriors is starting to get back to where it used to be. For a long time for me, like when I was fighting for Cagewarriors, you had to be the elite in Europe to fight for Cagewarriors. Then COVID came and it was almost like, because I remember fighting on Cagewarriors, I was 1-0 on 2-0 for my first 2 fights, obviously. And I was an anomaly. Everyone else on the card had 10 plus fights. They were European ranked. They're like, what the fuck's this kid doing on the main card, 1-0? Whereas in COVID, it's kind of, because people weren't necessarily willing to fight and couldn't travel, they had to put on.
You had to try and make.
So they almost had to build the divisions from scratch. Whereas now it's getting, like, you look at welterweight, you've got Reese McKee, Burlinson, the Latvian Express.
Yeah.
Who's the other guy? Big Figlak.
Yeah.
You know, the guy, who did he just beat? H? Come on.
Oh, I know, my mind's gone blank.
Oh, of course it fucking is.
Yeah, well.
You
Watch as many fights as I have, it does go black.
Get it up, Joe.
We'll have a look now.
I wish they...
Which one is it? Matt.
Matt, yeah.
On that point with Cagewarriors,
He had a good experienced guy he beat.
they seem to go through like a 3-year cycle, Cagewarriors, I find, where they build the division up,
Yeah.
and then it peaks. And then some of the guys go off the UFC, and then you got to start that.
And they got to restart it, yeah.
process.
So they're kind of like getting back to where they was now, where you can't have 1 or 2 fights and just be in the mix for a title now. You got to put a bit of a streak together. Who are we looking at, Joe?
Kent.
Capinion.
Ken
Yeah,
Campbell.
I'm glad you said
exactly
it.
him.
Yeah.
Jimmy Warled.
Yes.
Jimmy Warled just had a big fucking win.
Yeah.
He's right in the... And being as big a name as Jimmy Warled is, he's
Yeah.
right in the mix. You know, I know Aaron Khalid's back, Aaron Khalid is back fighting.
Is he? Yeah, I thought
Yeah,
he
he
was,
was due
done.
to fight a couple of weeks ago, but I don't think it happened. If he gets a win, you know, Cagewarriors love him. Jamie Richardson is still knocking about. So, welterweight especially is a deep old division. But yeah, look, 2-fight win streak for Bonner, 1-fight win streak for Oban. So they both still need to build a bit of momentum. But yeah, it's a big fight.
Yeah.
Especially for the Welsh fans.
For sure. Well, I think Oban, he looked like he was on a rocket ship, didn't he, basically, the first few fights. I think everyone was looking in one way. He's just going to tear through everyone. And obviously kind of got brought back down a little bit. But this fight is the one to get him back in that mix.
Look, let's be honest, right? Because we are on fucking Patreon. So we'll get a bit... we'll reveal some gym secrets as such. Okay. Oban can be as good as he wants to be. Genetically, he's got great genetics. He's an athlete. He's fast. He's powerful. He's strong. He's fit. You know, he can eat fucking burgers for 6 weeks and he's still have an 8-pack. Skill-wise, he's very, very good. He can just be his own biggest enemy sometimes mentally. He's one of those Oban where once that mental game clicks and he starts in his head to believe like, you know, I'm as good as I know. If he can take what he does in the gym to under the lights every time, because we've seen him do it. He done it last fight and he done it against McManus, right? If that Oban can turn up every fight, he's a problem for anyone in the division. Sometimes it can be your own confidence for whatever reason. Like that, I truly believe he's a much better fighter than the Latvian Express. I think if you match them up another 9 times, Oban will win 9 times, providing the Oban I see every Monday and Wednesday and Thursday sparring turns up to fight him. Turns up to the fight. That fight wasn't, you know, like that's what I'm saying. That fight, he knew he was better than him, and he kind of just went out there like a fucking lunatic, threw every bit of advice and every bit of game plan out the window. So he needs to avoid that, because if he can't avoid that, then you know it will prevent him making that top level. If he can go out there and do what he done last fight and do what he does in the gym, then he got every chance to go into the UFC and being a big star in the UFC. And this is nothing I've told him, I've had this conversation with him 100 times, and he knows that. Like, I'm the first person 99% of the time that he will ring after. As soon as he lost to Latvian Express, rang me very next morning. What do you think? What went wrong? When he beat the last guy, rang me the next morning. Was that a better performance? So, like I keep saying, I think he can beat Bonner, and I think he can beat him comfortably, and I think he can make it look easy. But the old man from the gym has got to turn up under the lights. And I think now he started like, what's the saying? get over the hill a little bit, like not like as in he's leaving kind of like the mental doubts behind, and like where his confidence is building now. And like when we spoke to him, you can see he's in a good place mentally, where he's like, it is just a fight. It's not like life or death. It's
He's had a bit of a breakthrough, and it feels like.
And
he looks to be in a different headspace.
Yeah, he's not trying to play the character 24/7. Whereas before he was Chaelsoning and the WWE star, and he still does that. Don't be wrong. I doubt you knock him out, he's gonna cut the fucking hell of a promo, I'm sure. But at the same time, he's in this headspace now where look, it is just a fight. I'll turn up and I'll deal with it on the night, and that's what he keeps saying to me. As long as I do it in the gym, I'll be all right, won't I? And I'm like, yeah. If you can do what you do to the boys on a Monday and a Wednesday and a Thursday in sparring, you're not gonna have a lot of problems at domestic level. So he knows that, and I think he's in a good space mentally where he can turn up and do that. But at the same time, Bonner is very good. Bonner is, on paper, his toughest fight.
Yeah, definitely.
Skill-wise, experience-wise, been there, seen it, done it. They've done 4 or 5 rounds. So it's a great fight.
Looking forward to that one for sure. And like you say, it is people's main event.
I won't predict because it's a bit biased. We won't do predictions, but I'm looking forward to it, and I think people are calling it the people's main event for a reason. I think it's got all the makings of a fight of the night type fight.
Massive fight.
Shame they don't do bonuses.
Shit, well.
Put it forward, H. Put it forward.
I'll tell Graham.
Right, so...
Crazy Horse next.
Yes.
So up next, we've got Welsh. Well, what did Brad Wharton say about him on the commentary? Was it if Cagewarriors have an Hall of Fame? The Cagewarriors Hall of Famer?
Yeah, Cagewarriors had an Hall of Fame.
Josh Reed would be first on the list. Yeah, so the Cagewarriors Hall of Fame, or future Hall of Famer, because he's still got plenty left in the tank yet. The Crazy Horses fighting
Bogdan Barabu.
And these guys got a bit of MMA math history, believe it or not.
Have they?
Yes. So remember when Josh was meant to fight the Dutch guy and the guy pulled out through illness on the day of the fight? I think it was back beginning of the year.
Yeah.
You remember? You know what I'm talking about?
I think so. Yeah.
Go on.
It was this year, wasn't it?
Go on Josh's Tapology and he'll be on there as a cancelled bout.
Cancelled bout. Dan Dugis.
That's him. Yeah.
Dan Dewey. Yeah.
Dan Dewey.
So that guy obviously pulled out a fight with Josh Hill, then fought a couple of weeks later and beat this guy by submission. Really? So they related via MMA math. Right. So yeah, go on, H. Break this one down for us a little bit, because everyone you don't need me to. Everyone knows what I'm going to say about Josh. So.
Yeah. Okay, so we got Bogdan Barabu. He's 70
Say that again.
Bogdan Barabu.
Barabu.
Yeah.
How many times you practice that one?
He's been fucking practicing in the car on the way up.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. 17-13 is a pro record.
That's a big record, mate.
That is a big
What's
record,
that, 30
yeah.
How old is he? 30 odd fights.
Have a look now.
Have a look. I'll say on Tapology.
That's a lot of fights.
Romanian.
Doesn't say. No age.
Yeah. So lost his Cage Warriors debut to Dan Dewey by triangle choke.
I know my stuff.
Well done. That was in May.
Yeah, so not a long time ago, really.
No, does have a recent heel hook win. And he's got a fair few wins by knockout and TKO. So he's obviously
A striker.
dangerous. He's a striker. Also dangerous everywhere. But obviously we know Josh is also, he's quite happy to bang, and he's a black belt in BJJ.
Yeah, like you said, sounds like a finishing fight, doesn't it? It doesn't sound like a fight that's going to go the distance. No. I don't know. I mean, I'd have to look at his Tapology, but I think Josh has had maybe one win by decision. I think every other has been a finish.
Yeah, he hasn't had many wins.
No, he's an explosive fighter, Josh. He comes to finish. Looking at this guy, with a record in 17 and 13, he's either gonna he strikes me as a guy who's either gonna take you out or get took out himself.
I mean, in the bookings.
Exactly right.
Pretty much by his record, he's got maybe like 4 or 5 decisions, but most of them are either by submission or punches. A lot of the losses are by punches, by the looks. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be a banger.
Josh's ground game is very underrated, is what I will say to people.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He's known like with a name like you don't get a name like the Crazy Horse without being a bit of a, it's on the tin. We know what he brings. He comes, he throws bombs. He hits very hard. Like obviously I've sparred with Josh 10 odd years now, and pound for pound, at my weight, he's probably the biggest hitter. Well, he is the biggest hitter I've sparred with in terms of power. you can like he let you with a 16-ounce glove with a jab, and you can feel it, and you can see because like he has fights where he hits guys and they kind of start to panic, and like the commentator was like, I can't see where he hit him with there, and I'm thinking, no, he's landed half a punch in the top of the head, and the guy has seen the fly. I've seen it against Brian Creighton.
Yeah.
You know, that knee only came because he rocked him through the guard. Same with Nathaniel Wood, he rocked him with a punch that didn't really land. So because he's got this reputation of being this banger, people forget how good his ground game is. But you know, he's had heel-up wins. He fought a Dagestani wrestler up in London, took him down and choked him out. So, and he's got a nasty, nasty squeeze as well. He loves the guillotine, loves the rear naked. He's got the painter strength, as I like to say. he's from all them years on the brush. He's got that wrist squeeze. So he's very underrated ground game. Could be the route to victory maybe against this guy if he's a good striker. His wrestling is getting his offensive rest because he's always been able like to defend takedowns, Josh, kind of. That's been when we've seen him. We never really seen him look for takedowns. But I think his last couple of fights, he's had a good couple of and you see it in the gym, he's getting a lot more confident, pushing for a takedown. He's got a good double leg, got good wrestling on the cage. So maybe if this guy is a very good striker, could be his route to victory. And obviously the guy who got subbed in his last fight, so the guy is probably going to think this fight, you know, let's avoid... I mean, I would guess anyway, let's avoid the ground and let's try... Josh lost his last fight by submission. So yeah, but then again, you don't know. Perhaps the guy is also thinking he lost his last fight by sub. Let's take him down and sub him.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting one, I think, as well. In Ebervale, I think he'll blow the roof off the place if he gets him by punches or a TKO.
I don't think I'm out of order saying this. I think he'll have the biggest crowd there, the biggest ovation. He's always been a good ticket seller, Josh, and you know, especially every time I've seen him fight in Wales.
I mean, his fans even travel well.
Yeah, they travel well. I mean, he'll do 50 tickets, 100 tickets in London, so I'd imagine Ebervale.
They'll be there in their droves.
They'll be mental support there for him. And he's a showman as well, you know. He knows how to rile the crowd up. In the intros, he'll play to the crowd. In the walkout, he'll play to the crowd. And he's a gamer, and they know, you know what you get when you sign up to watch him fight. Win, lose or draw.
It's not going to be boring.
He's bringing the fun there. And with a guy like this who's 17 or 13, and it looks to be like he's going to do the same. I remember, if I remember rightly, only briefly, this guy is a good striker because I remember when the guy who Josh got, what's his name? Sorry, this guy's last loss. This guy, Dan Dewey. I remember watching when he fought. I remember sitting my album because we couldn't find a lot of tape on him when he was going to fight Josh. And I was like, oh, what was he like? I was like, because being from Holland again, you expect him to be, you know, a kickboxer. And I remember saying, what was he like? And my old man said he got lit up pretty much. He said on the feet, and then kind of ended up in a scramble. I think he ended up triangle choking him or something like that. So it does sound like the guy's a good striker. He's going to want to keep it there. And maybe we'll see Josh come and rest. We can say it on Patreon because I doubt, what's his name? This guy?
Bogdan.
Bogdan.
I doubt Bogdan's going to be watching and signed up to the Tanked Up Patreon, and I doubt his coaches are going to be either.
And if he is, go for the £15 tier.
Yeah. If you're gonna rip off our Jim's tactics, at least buy the expensive tier.
Play devil's advocate if you are watching, but there is a £3 option. Just price for meal deal.
Don't be telling them.
It's a meal deal.
Actually,
it's a meal deal a month. Come on.
Yeah.
It's well worth it.
Right,
you get all the tactics.
You get all. We'll snake the boys out just for £3 a month.
And they won't know because they're not paying.
They won't know because they're not paying for the membership.
To be honest, fight. The bookies have Josh as a -300 favourite, and Bogdan Barbu is the +240.
So
underdog.
explain that. Is that close? Because I still haven't cracked the American.
I'm at 2-1. I am, and 1 to...
I'm still on the
so
British
do you want me to tell
odds.
him a secret? I also work on those odds, but I couldn't find any odds.
Yeah,
like that.
So you don't know either.
So I know that the minus is the favourite and the plus is the underdog. I'd imagine -300 is
quite
heavy favourite.
Yeah. So the close, I would guess, the closer to zero.
The closer to zero.
The closer the fight will be, the further away.
So +240, they're saying.
Do you know?
The bookies are saying there's a big disparity.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they're right, and the horse can get it done. I can't. I mean, he looked good in the gym. He had a little break on holiday, and I think he's done him good. He just loves to fight, doesn't he? Fucking he fight 10 times a year if you'd let him, I think, Horseman.
So, rightio.
That's that one.
There is
Aaron AB.
Out from your gym, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Aaron Abbey, he's a Welsh guy.
We move on then to Aaron Abbey,
Is he a North Walian?
North Walian from Wrexham. I want to say
Has he got a Scouse accent, or does he sound like us? Because a lot of the Wrexham...
he's got that goggy
Is he?
North Walian. Yeah.
Does he know Ryan Reynolds?
That sounds really horrible.
Is that offensive, Goggy?
I gotta admit,
What do the
I don't
Scousers
know.
call
I
them?
don't
Woolly
think
backs?
so.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, Paddy and all that, they call like a lot of people like they say, you're not even a fucking Scouser, you're a woolly back, because obviously like Wrexham is
sheepskin.
like sheep shaggers basically, because Wrexham is it's basically Liverpool, isn't it? It's there, but for some reason it's classed as fucking Wales.
What gym does he fight out of then? Does he travel then over to England then?
He fights out of IPC. Is it
It says MMA Academy here, but
MMA Academy is in Liverpool, but I think that's old.
right.
What's it called? Is it the IPC?
Something, it is something like that. Yeah, let me check his
I
Instagram.
could be wrong.
Break the fight down, H, once I check this.
So yeah, we got Aaron Abbey, 13-4-1, fighting Michelangelo Lipoli.
No, sorry to interrupt. He does train at the MMA Academy. It's in his.
He does he?
It's in his Instagram bio, yeah.
Yeah,
And I believe that's in Liverpool. So he does. Yeah, hence why I was saying about Woolly backs.
Yeah, yeah. But it's not far from North Wales, Liverpool, because when I drive up for a show in Liverpool, I always go through Wales and then just cross over. But enough about my geography. So yeah, we got Aaron Abbey, 13-4-1. Michelangelo Lupoli, 5-2-0. Aaron Abbey's last loss was to current champion Sam Creasy. So
that was Aaron's last loss.
Yeah. So
I remember that fight.
Again,
Yeah,
I lost this age pretty well. That was in the tournament. I think they did I think it was a one-night tournament.
I remember.
It
was a final, was it? Or the semis?
I think it was the semis.
Semis.
I think it was the semis.
Just trying to get his record up on you.
But yeah, so that's a loss to age well. His opponent is his Cagewarriors debut. But he has 2 TKO finishes and 3 decisions. His last loss was a sub, Lupoli. He's currently riding a 2-fight win streak, but he's not fought for a year. So, got a year of inactivity. Come back and fight for a title. I mean, if you've been in the gym for that year, I guess it's not too much of a big deal.
Yeah.
You've been staying active, still sparring, but if you haven't been active for whatever reason, then who knows?
Side note on Aaron. He's also beat cancer twice, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's beat cancer twice. So I'm sure in an interview he said nothing that happens to me in the cage is ever going to be as bad as, obviously,
and that makes
having cancer. And
exactly.
But we talk about the mental game. That's going to make the world of difference when you know you can walk in there with a smile on your face, knowing nothing's going to be as bad.
We kind of mentioned it a little bit
faced.
last episode with Marshmallow. There's certain things you see in life you're never going to be afraid of a fight. Like same with Aaron. I can only imagine what he's gone through from receiving the news that you've got cancer to then having to go through the treatment and the recovery twice.
Twice, I think.
To do all that twice. You're never ever going to be afraid to get in the cage and have a fight with someone new.
But I mean, we know your mind plays tricks on you, right? So if fighting's the scariest thing you've done, then your mind's going to play tricks on you. But if it's not, you've done something worse, then it's going to be hard for your mind to play those games when you've overcome
Of course.
so much more adversity.
It's all relative, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like when he's looking at that, like this is nothing compared to what I've been through. Then, like you say, he can be more in the moment, can't he?
Yeah, I think he said something like that's not going to. I could be wrong. I think he said something like that's never going to. Get in a cage with a sanctioned referee is never going to threaten to take my life away. And
what a story that would be as well. Say he does go on to win the belt and move on to the UFC. What a journey for him.
So sellable, isn't it?
Yeah. Side note: he is up for the MMA. Was it MMA fighting? No, Fighters Only. Fighters Only Comeback Story of the Year Awards, and it is free to vote. All you've got to do is register. So if you register, you can vote for Aaron in those awards.
Yeah, give him a vote.
He's massively deserving. The awards are in Vegas. It'd be great. Obviously, it'd be great for a fighter outside the UFC to.
And how can you not get behind him?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Whether you, like, even if he was to fight a guy who you know or whatever, you still wish him well. I'm not saying you
100%.
root against your guy, but like when you see a story like that, overcome cancer, come back, fight and do well. Now he's at the stage where he's pushing. I know he like his last loss was Sam Creasy, who's got the belt, so he's got it.
Yeah, I mean, a win year. He's on a bit of a win streak. I think is it a 3-fight win streak, Joe?
It is. He's won 2 in a row at the minute.
So he win this,
fight
he's
since
free.
Sam Creasy,
Where's
but
this? 3 in a row. There's an
Probably will
argument
fight
there.
for the belt next,
There's an
I would
argument to
guess.
fight for the belt.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
he's...
outside of like the Shaw boys, he's definitely the one which I'm most interested in watching, I would say.
Yeah.
100%. He's good to watch. I mean, to be fair, a lot of the flyweights in Cagewarriors are because they're so fast.
Yeah.
But he's great to watch, and he's a good guy as well.
Yeah. And his opponent, we should say, he does have good stand-up. He does look comfortable enough on the ground as well. So it'll be interesting.
Has he fought for Cagewarriors before, the opponent?
No, it's his Cagewarriors debut.
It's his debut.
I found some footage on YouTube of him on some kind of regional show, and he he didn't look like a bum. He looked well versed everywhere. So I'm sure he's going to bring a good fight to Aaron, and hopefully it'll be a bit of a barn burner, and we'll see a good scrap out of it.
Yeah, well, again, like you said, it's a good opportunity for both of them. They're going to be quite high up the card, I would imagine, with Aaron being Welsh, and also a win year. Did you say the guy's on a win streak, 2-fight win streak? Yeah, so a win for either of them. That's a 3-fight win streak with a good win. Could put him in the mix for the title. So
especially the guy who's making his Cagewarriors debut, he's got a big opportunity to steal all of Aaron's kind of.
Yeah, and then obviously to move on from that, then speaking of the flyweight title is the main event. Sam Creasy is fighting
Stipe Bricic.
And has Bricic fought for Cagewarriors before?
No, I don't think so.
Good record though, 10-2.
No, he hasn't. Yeah, he's 10-2. He is the number 1 ranked flyweight in Germany and Western Europe. So
Well, there we go.
he's not.
That's accolade in
He's
itself.
no
He's not a bum.
No.
Not a bum.
Well, look, 10-2 is a very good record.
Yeah.
I'd assume he's on a win streak, or have a look first,
I
Joe.
would imagine
Let's have a
so.
look. It's funny because Aaron's going to be there as well, isn't he? And he's fought Creasy, isn't he? And lost. So it does line that up if they were
of
both
course.
to win.
Yeah.
Well, in all fairness to Creasy, right? You got to give Creasy credit. He's not shy of a rematch.
No, he's
he
not.
beat Shanks, was up for the rematch. I'm pretty sure he's rematched. I've seen him rematch people in the past. And Creasy will fight anyone. You can't ever knock Creasy because I remember him fighting Dez years ago, and since then he's constantly fought guys with good records, good names. So he wouldn't be the type to say, "Oh, I've beaten him before." Interesting to note about Creasy, despite being a champion, he is coming off a loss. He beat Luke Shanks for the belt. There was a bit of controversy. Did he TKO Shanks or was it a decision?
I think he TKO'd him, but I could be wrong.
They fought twice, have they?
Yeah, what was the
Recently?
first-
The
what was the
first
result
one
of
was
the first?
guillotine choke.
Right, so he
Oh,
choked
yeah.
Shanks out. Now, there was controversy because Shanks had him in an armbar in the first round, and Shanks thought that he tapped. So straight away they asked for a rematch. I seen Creasy said he didn't want it to be no doubt that he deserved to be the champion, so he took the rematch. Then in the rematch, Shanks missed weight,
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
which obviously means he's not eligible to win the belt. Creasy was the champion. Shanks knocked Creasy out, but obviously he's still the champion. So it's a weird situation.
Yeah.
So it's not like you can think, if Creasy wins this, he moves on to the UFC because he is coming off a loss. But if he wins this and then could go on to beat an Aaron Abe or the other guy,
Yeah,
then
but
it kind of puts him in a
to get
position. I know
one.
Shanks has gone up to
Bantam.
bantamweight, so he's out the picture. They're not going to have a third fight, I don't imagine, because Sam's not big at
No, he's not big
flyweight,
enough,
so I
I
can't
wouldn't
imagine
imagine
he's
he's
going to go to
got
bantamweight. What's Sam's record now? 15-4?
15-4, yeah.
Yeah, so good record.
5 KOs, 6 subs, 4 decisions. His opponent is 3 KOs, 3 subs, 4 decisions. So they both well-rounded guys.
He's a good power puncher, Sam, as well.
Yeah.
Again, at flyweight, you don't tend to see as many knockouts, but I've seen him starch a couple of, and starch him bad. Paul Morin, he starched when he lost for the Cagewarriors belt against the French guy. I can't remember his name. He lost by TKO, but he had him on skates as well. He's a very well-rounded fighter, Sam. Can he kind of glue it a bit like what we were saying about Oban? Can he glue it together and keep it consistent? Because ultimately, that's what's going to get you to the UFC.
Got to get that run.
You've got to keep running. You've got to keep the win streak, because they're not going to sign anyone off 1 or 2 wins, or not likely anyway. Unless you're a big name and got a big following. You kind of need to be winning the belt, defending the belt a couple of times. It's kind of a weird main event having a Welsh card, because there's no, I don't think Creasy's going to have a big following come down to Wales. And then obviously that he's fighting a European guy, but it's a title fight at the end of the day. So it's always good to cap a card off of a title fight. You know, the undercard, so to speak, is stacked with Welsh talent.
Yeah.
So hopefully he's got all the makings of a good night and a Welsh MC. So
That's right.
what more could you ask for, eh?
Get the big voice in the arena, innit?
Well, I'll do my bit.
The
I
voice
won't
of
sing the national anthem, but I'll do everything else.
the voice of European MMA, Joe. Don't you forget it.
Yeah,
Soon
I'm
to be
excited.
world MMA when Bruce retires.
I can't wait to just be there, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be awesome atmosphere.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how the Leisure Centre is set out. That, like, you know, with the screens and the rig and stuff, and because it's always going to look a lot different to what it will look.
Is it going to be like more seating?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the cage is going to be kind of in like the middle of the
yeah.
sports hall, and then there's going to be seats and stands all the way around it. Then
You don't get your VIP table this time.
we don't
then,
get a
Jack,
VIP
right?
table this time. We just have to deal with our little shitty backstage pass. Have to watch it on the screens out the back.
Yeah, oh mate, it'll be banging though, innit? I think as well.
Have they roped you in for a meet and greet?
Not yet, no.
Not yet, no.
Graham's not there,
It's
is he?
time.
See, so they none of the others can twist my arm. Graham kind of will back me into a corner, but like any of the Cagewarriors staff ask, I'm like, no, no.
No, I'm not doing it.
Did you do that at the last Academy one? What was that like?
Yeah, it was all right. It wasn't a formal meet and greet as
Yeah.
such. It was just people. You know, I was in one spot and people, but people were all right. You know, you do get the occasional fucking nightmare. No one's ever a dick. It's just some people have a little bit too much to drink and want to stay and talk for a little bit too long when there's other people waiting, and when the boys are fighting and I want to go and watch the fights and I can't because someone's trying to chew my ear off, and then I've got to get a bouncer to be like, can you move this fucking guy along so I can get this shit done? Like,
Was there anyone telling you like how they could have made it?
you have a few. You have a few. Not at the last one so much, but you have like, oh, I used to train with Joe Duffy, or I used to train with, everyone used to fucking train with Joe Duffy. I used to train with fucking Jack Marshman. I was like, well, you didn't train with Jack Marshman, because I've always trained with Jack Marshman. I would know you, like. But yeah, no, 95% of people are all right, and the 5% that do your head in, they're not trying to intentionally piss you off. They just people who had a bit too much to drink.
There for the right reason.
The best was when I done the meet and greet in London after the fight. We had like 4 doormen on us, and they were taking no shit. They would be like they'd have their photo, they'd go to the chat and the door, be like, moving along. They just take them, move them out to the next 3 in.
Was that after party?
That was at the after party. Yeah, it wasn't a mental meet. It was only like 20 minutes because a part of the package was me and Paddy and Molly had to have photos of people. And fit right to the door when they had it on lock. They were like, do you want drinks? Do you want to have a drink? Do you want some food? And then it's just move. So London doorman is what we need to authorise these meet and greets. I don't mind doing them, man.
Are you
Get Di Cray over, he'd be great.
Di Cray would do the job, yeah.
are you going out after this one?
No, I'm going to Dubai the next day. So last thing I want to do is a day of travelling on a hangover.
Spewing in your suitcase.
Yeah. To be fair, like, I think like the majority of the boys like also know when they'll go back to their kind of own. If there was a couple of local boys fighting, maybe, but it's quite an early. I think it'll be done by 8-9 o'clock. I think the card's quite early, isn't it? So yeah, hopefully it'll be nice, straightforward, home to bed, ready to travel the next day. But we'll see how it goes. You know, my arm's been twisted before, Joe. It'll be twisted again, I'm sure.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, job done then.
Happy days.
First Patreon exclusive not behind
yeah.
the scenes bonus content done. Thank you everyone who has signed up so far. We're gonna keep the train rolling. We got some footage being filmed tomorrow, and we're gonna do some train with Tank. Might put Joe through his paces a little bit.
Kill me off.
If we get so many buyers in the next couple of months, I might even make Joe have a spar with me. So we'll I know people who don't like Joel just bite to watch that. So maybe we'll start running that. His missus will be the first one to buy it.
She'll be there, yeah. She'd want to watch, I expect, in person.
But yeah, thank you everyone who's signed up so far, and the giveaway is still on. We're just waiting. As soon as we have 100 subscribers, we will do a draw live on well, not live, but we'll do an episode.
Definitely, yeah.
But big thanks to H as well for coming in and breaking it down.
You brought all the knowledge for this one, I think, mate.
I don't know
The official, unofficial co-host of the Tanked Up podcast.
Take that.
If you're there Saturday and you see us, give us a shout. And as long as you ain't pissed up, I want to chew my ear off. Peace out.
Nice one. Cheers, guys.
Get those what we trap for. Some man they wanna chat shit till I knock 'em ain't like I'm Jack
Level to
Shaw.
the game.
Rolls hot, roll stack, my flow sharp like a hacksaw. Getting off.